Welcome to the Kitty Band, a Hello Kitty Island Adventure podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Swaglock, and with me today, as always, is Chicken.
Stop, dude. I'm surprised you made that without laughing a little bit. I feel like we're both a little sleep deprived, even though you're probably definitely a lot more sleep deprived than I am.
Dude, I just worked like I think 3 14-hour days in a row. And then and then this morning had to get up and speak in front of like 1,000 people. Yeah.
Bro, you deserve a day off. Hopefully.
I'm taking one tomorrow. Let's go. Sitting home playing WoW, crushing dungeons. Actually, I'm probably cleaning because I've literally just gotten home from like work, gone straight to sleep, woken up, and then just gone right to work. And so like I just have like trash everywhere. And I'm like, okay, I gotta clean.
Low key,
gotta mop up. Yeah.
Do you think they'll have stuff like that in player housing in WoW? Where like if you haven't been to your player housing in like 2 weeks, you'll like go back and they'll be like cobweb and you have to like dust it all off. Wouldn't that be kind of cool?
Kind of like in Hello Kitty Island Adventure?
Maybe, sure.
Yeah. Actually, okay, so here's the thing. I've never played Hello Kitty Island Adventure, but that is a feature in what's it called? And by the way, if you're listening, obviously this is the Warband, a World of Warcraft podcast. I don't know why I feel like I have to clarify that.
Yeah,
we were just memeing at the start. But anyways, that is a thing in Animal Crossing though, right? That you have to like in your house, you have to dust up if you haven't been there for a while.
Oh yeah, if you haven't been there in like a couple weeks, you have to like dust it off.
That'd be a fun feature. I think player housing is going to be something that is really a game mode in and of itself for a lot of players. And so I wouldn't like things like that. I think add a nice touch for players. There's a joke I made. Oh gosh, I don't know if I was at Raid or live streaming. I don't remember where I was, but I made a joke and I was like, "Yo, how many like guys, girlfriends, or wives do you think are gonna get into World of Warcraft because of player housing? Right? Like they're just sitting there watching their husband play Sims, basically, right? Sims and WoW." Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they like even my fiance was looking at it and she was like, I want to play that. Like the new player housing stuff looks good. And she was like, do I have to raid in order to do that? And I was like, no. She's like, okay, so long as I don't have to raid. I was like, come on, man, raiding's my favorite. Don't do that to me. Don't talk down on raiding.
Well, like I get it. Like, come on, not everyone wants to raid.
I mean, Everybody wants to raid. Who doesn't, dude? Everybody should raid. Forget delves. Forget delves. Forget leveling. I think when you make a new character in WoW for the first time in WoW, it should actually load you in as a I'm trying to think, like as an intern. Like you should load in as like an intern. Into like a mythic raid team, right? Yeah. So you make your first character and you spawn in, and you're just like following a 20-man raid group around, watching the chaos unfold around you, and like all you have to do is just dodge swirlies. You don't have to do any other mechanic but dodge swirlies. That should be every player's first experience.
Where?
Oh, dude, the synapses in my brain aren't firing correctly tonight, so like who knows where this podcast is going?
The synapse.
What are the neurons? I don't know, dude. Do you think they're even working for me right now? They're all dried up, dude. There's nothing there.
Like it, man.
There's nothing there.
It honestly doesn't sound like it. Anyway. So what have you done this week in WoW? Actually, correction. What haven't you done this week in WoW?
Oh,
because it sounds like you haven't played any WoW.
Yeah, I mean, I've been raiding. I've been consistently raiding. So.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I was lucky enough to be able to get home both Wednesday and Thursday night and continue raiding, which is good for me because, dude, I was worried. I was worried that I wouldn't be able to, and so I was gonna get like no game time in. And I love my job. I love what I got to do this week. It was fun, but it would have been a little sad if I missed our first push into heroic.
Oh yeah.
And so we made our first push into heroic this week. That was a blast. I love going in. We've been doing normal, which is fine. It's okay. We get gear. I go back and forth sometimes. I'm gonna be honest. if I didn't love my guild as much as I do, I think I would sit out. I actually like 100% would just sit out. And I wouldn't raid with them.
Whoa.
Yeah. I right, and the problem is I'd be like, yo, can I sit out and then just come when you get to heroic? But then they would, but again that causes drama because they're like, oh, like raid with us the whole time. However, normal just isn't fun to me. I mean, and if you love normal raid, awesome, that's great. I don't I don't mythic raid. Maybe I should sometime. Maybe I should. So heroic,
yeah, dude, you should.
Yeah, but heroic is the highest that I push, and the problem is like heroic gets too easy by the end of the season, right? Especially once like you start gearing up. I think this week, right? This week we get this week we finally got the 3% buff already.
Yeah, it was last week. Yeah.
Yeah. So by the time I got to heroic, I already had a 3% buff to my damage output. Plus, I already had some decent gear that I gotten from doing delves. And M plus and some normal raid. So
yeah, but you can't look at it like that.
But I missed out on that early heroic experience. And there's something I love. Like, if I'm honest with you, when I do normal raid, and again, this is me. When I do normal raiding, I feel like I'm half-heartedly there, right? Like, I don't think I talk as much. I don't think I'm as engaged with the guildies. I don't think I usually just kind of get quiet. I'm like scrolling articles on my other monitor or something, and then doing the fight, and then while we're clearing trash, just like watching YouTube videos or something, and then I go.
Oh, dang!
I just don't think it's mentally stimulating enough, if that makes sense. Normal raid just doesn't feel very mentally stimulating. And so I just kind of autopilot, and maybe it's my brain, maybe it's that like ADHD brain. I'm just like, I need more happening in order for me to like stay focused. And so yeah, I'm really looking forward to us now being in heroic. That kind of becomes more of a challenge. I'm just kind of like a little sad that we already started having some boosts for gear and like a 3% damage buff and some other stuff kind of going on already.
Why does that upset you though? Like honestly.
Yeah, I love throwing ourselves at bosses and not downing them.
Yeah.
Right, like when we kill a boss, like so we walked into heroic and I think we one-shot the first boss.
I
think maybe no we didn't. It took a couple tries, which is fine, right? But there's times like we'll go into heroic and we'll just one-shot a boss, or like when we went to normal, we one-shot most of them. And it was like, yeah, check that out. We killed it, right? Like Gallywix. We did normal Gallywix and we killed him on the first try. I still don't even know like what the mechanics of that fight are. We killed him every time we've killed
Gallywix?
him. Every time we've
killed him in one try?
Yeah, every time we've done Gallywix on normal, we just it's just like a one shot. And I know when we did it, our guildmates were like, yeah, check that out. We're so good. And by the way, like dude, if you're one of my guildies, like, yeah, dude, you guys kick butt. You learn well. I just think for me personally, I go, oh, that was boring, right? Like that was it. Okay, I smacked a bunch of buttons. We killed the boss. I left, and when I say I smacked a bunch of buttons, I mean like that's what it felt like. It just felt like I sat there, smacked my buttons, and was done. It doesn't feel like I was trying to actually like react to anything or overcome anything. One of my favorite. Do you want to guess? Do you think you know what my favorite boss from last season was?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Which one was it?
It was the second one.
Yes. Actually,
I knew it.
Yeah, I'm surprised you got it. And so, let me give it a little...
What do you mean I'm surprised you got it?
I love that boss. And
dude,
you know what?
It literally took us like 2 weeks to get that boss down.
Yeah, the slime guy, the slime
yeah,
guy.
Dude.
Yeah, for whatever reason, our team was struggling. Now, granted, last season we started in heroic, we didn't start in normal. So that completely changed the dynamic of our raid experience. We also started at the beginning of an expansion in heroic, so like right now you're at least walking into raid with like decent gear from last season, right? Yeah. But at that point, right, like there was no decent gear. You had been locked out to anything with good gear up until that point. And so we're walking into raid. We killed the first guy, took a few tries to kill the first boss. We get to the second boss and we just can't down him. It was the beams mechanic, the 2 slime beams that shoot out from his sides.
Yeah, dude, that was rough.
That was just getting us and making all the callouts. Now, like by the end of the season when we were running it, it was a joke, right? Like,
yeah,
we were clearing
it.
Oh my God. But every time we cleared it after that, I was so hyped because I was like, yeah, this is the boss we overcame. If we had 1 shot or 2 shot or even 3 shot that boss, right, like whatever it took, like under 5 attempts, I don't think I'd ever think about it again. I don't think that's a boss I would have ever thought about again. But the fact, right, like there's nothing about that boss that I'm like, oh, this is such a fun mechanic. I mean, it's a more fun tank mechanic, I think, which is part of it. The tank mechanic of that fight is a little, makes me think a bit, which is nice. But ultimately, it was like, hey, our raid team had to work to overcome this fight. We were struggling. Yeah. We were taking too much damage from things that we shouldn't have been taking damage from. Tanks, not me. Actually, it was me. We're dropping lasers in the wrong spots and killing people. And like, yeah, it was all these things, right? The tentacles popping up.
Oh, yeah.
All these things happening. And when we finally overcame that fight, I was like, yeah, we worked for this. Like, this was worthwhile. And that, to me, is the most fun raiding experience. It's why I probably should get into Mythic raiding. And I've thought about it a lot. The reason why I don't Mythic raid,
too much of a commitment.
Yeah, it's a pretty big commitment. And also I left a note on the notes, but if your noise gate's up pretty high, it's kind of cutting you off on the end there. I want to give you a heads up.
Oh,
yeah. No worries. Just I can never stop troubleshooting audio equipment. So
that's okay.
Anyways, actually off topic, super off topic. It's not even on the podcast, dude. There I am speaking this morning, right? And the guy I was interviewing in front of everybody didn't have his pack turned on when he walked up. I noticed.
Bro,
and I'm literally sitting there
like, what is going on?
No, he did great, but I was like, yo, is your pack on? And I'm just like, because that's where my brain goes, right? Like, I'm the guy who normally has to troubleshoot tech anyways, so I was just like, yo, is your pack on? But right in front of everybody. But anyways.
Oh, yeah. Right in front of it.
Right, like hundreds of people in the room. I'm like, is your pack on? So, where was I going with this? Oh, so I've thought about raiding Mythic, and I love the idea of it. I actually love the idea of it. Now, the commitment's pretty high, right? Like, I would have to find a raid team that's like, yo, we're raiding Mythic, but we're just doing 2 nights a week.
Yeah.
That's what I would have to find. I know, like, I think our guest next week, their raid team is a lot higher of a commitment, so that wouldn't work, right? My problem though is like, oh dude, I love my guild too much. And I love raiding with them, and I love being with them, and so everybody has to make a sacrifice somewhere, right? Like, everybody has to make choices. I don't think you can always have everything you want. Sometimes, but not always. And so, right, I kind of have to choose, like, do I want the community that I know and I love and like I've been building up over years, and just do I want to have that, or do I want to have like the crazy raid experience where we're working on the same boss for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and then we finally kill him, and it's hype and everybody's going crazy, and it's like, yeah, we did it, right? And I really want that latter option, but the former is just so much more enticing to me. And so it's that odd dynamic where then I end up sitting there raiding in normal. And by the way, though, let me clarify. While for me, raiding in normal is not my favorite thing to do, there are many players in our guild who love the fact that we start in normal, who have a safe space and an enjoyable and encouraging space to learn raid mechanics, to challenge themselves, to have other players around them who can teach them how to improve in their class or their spec, and grow with us as we progress through Heroic and get our AOTC. So, you know, I can complain on a personal level because there's things that I personally want, but I also know that the things that aren't my favorite are also massively appreciated by many players on our team. And those players are all people that I adore. And I want them to have that, and I want them to be able to enjoy it. So it is, dude, it's just so fascinating. It's fascinating, like, all the dynamics. Some days I wish I could just go back to being a lonely, depressed hermit who had 7 nights a week to play WoW. But then I remember the lonely, depressed hermit part of that wasn't so fun. Just the 7 nights of WoW part was fun.
Yeah,
so
I could
maybe
see
not
the 7 nights of WoW.
Dude, this is sleep deprived swag right now, dude. Like, total, like, dude, this would have been the week to like drop the juicy listener questions.
I mean, there's still time, I guess.
That's true.
Well,
Well,
I mean,
nobody knows though. We're not live this time.
there's definitely not that much time.
No. So, Chicken, what have you been up to though, dude? Have you been playing? I know you were gone for a little bit. You're back. You're back from your travels. Have you been able to get in and kind of run some dungeons, run some keys, pugs? I know you're not raiding with us. Have you been pugging raid at least for some gear?
No, not really. It's the same kind of concept that you just said. Like I do want to raid, but like pugging raid is like, it's like awful. Like I remember pugging raid back in Dragonflight, and I don't remember it being as bad, but I didn't pug any what's it called? I don't think I pugged a single last season raid. Nerubia or whatever, that one. I don't think I pugged it once, and I pugged one normal raid, and we got to the third boss and we just couldn't do it, and they were just like, tank, you're bad, and I was like, I'm the one doing the mechanics right.
Tank, you're bad.
And I just was like, okay, yeah, I'm not gonna do this anymore.
Yeah.
So I have not done much raid. Done a lot of M+, done some delves. I got a lot of hot takes. Are you ready for them?
Give them to me.
Okay, my first hot take is Theater of Pain is not that great. I feel like a lot of people think Theater of Pain is kind of okay.
Dude, Theater of Pain is goated right now. Dude, it's goated right now. I love Theater of Pain. Give me a Theater of Pain key any day. What's wrong? Okay, what's wrong with Theater of Pain? What's wrong with it?
Dude, there's just way too much movement on those bosses, man. I'm trying to dodge splashes and dodge all these swirlies. I don't got time for that,
man.
Are
you playing Mage right now, or are you playing DK still?
I'm playing Blood. That's like exclusively what I'm playing is Blood.
Bro, but it's so freaking easy.
Dude, I gotta run in, gotta run out.
Are you talking about on the Lich boss? Where you literally take like 2 steps backwards and then 2 steps forward? That's like it.
Dude, like all the bosses you gotta run in and out.
Yeah, but you're playing Blood DK. Like you're not even running that far from the boss. You can just move, and you're not even casting spells.
Well, that's fair. I'll give you that one. But I notoriously stand really close. Like typically when I do a dungeon, I like stand like on top of the boss. I don't know why. I've just always done that.
It's because you play a gnome, dude. Your arms aren't
all the way
long
back,
enough.
all the way in. Dude, I'm not a fan of Theater of Pain.
Dude, play a taller character.
Oh my
more range.
Gosh. That's not. I don't think that's how it works.
Yeah, dude. That's my tip of the day. My tip of the day. The taller characters have more melee range than shorter characters. You can test it.
No, I don't believe that for a second.
Well, I guess I gotta test it then to find out what's true.
We should we start doing Warband myth or myth or trick, or what is it? Myth or I don't even know what it's called.
I don't even know. So
factor cap. That's what it is.
We can call it myth or tech. Anyways,
myth or tech.
No, so I like Theater of Pain, and I'll let you continue your other hot takes in a second. I like Theater of Pain because it's not a terrible dungeon. I think it may be one too many bosses. It might have one too many bosses. But this season, definitely. But this time around though, they fixed the major pain points in Theater of Pain. Such as like certain trash was just wild before. So when you went into the plague corridor, the jumpy guys were gnarly. If you recall,
the jumpy guys are still annoying.
They're annoying, but like, dude, they were like, that was where groups were wiping for me all the time, was on the jumpy guys.
Jumpy.
I also remember the first boss. Well, the first boss was never crazy difficult. It was not a fun fight. And you were constantly trying to like group up the 3 bosses, but they didn't really group up. It was like a whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
I will say they made the fight really easy now, which is not, especially because they already have too many bosses. I think that's probably for the better that they made it easier. Right?
Yeah.
It actually feels oftentimes more like just like a trash pack. But you literally just pull them to the outside edge and then just kite them around the whole time. Like they just stay together, they just drop crap and you just kite them around, and it's an easy fight. And then the Lich is the other one that they changed. And the Lich, I think, was a weirdly complex fight before, especially for pugging, right? It was a really bad fight for pugging because you get a lot of people who just didn't know the mechanics. And the nice thing with that fight now is even if your group doesn't know the mechanics, it's really easy to convey the mechanics. And so it's really easy to be like, oh, this is coming up, especially because DBM calls it out so early that you can just like, every time it comes up, I just spam ping where I want the group to be. I just go bing, 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 and I like throw my
which one's the Lich one? Are you talking about the one where you have to jump through the portals and like the yeah, okay.
And so
no, that's fair. I'll give you that one.
Like because you want the group to stack up at one point, so all the ads drop in the same spot.
Yes.
And so you just throw a couple of quick pings down, and everybody's like, "Oh, we gotta go stack over there," and then they all run and stack. Heck, there's even a long enough hallway to the boss that you can just say, "Stack when I ping," right? Like, and just give them a quick heads up. I think the timer's a lot more forgiving on Theater of Pain than it used to feel. So Theater of Pain to me, I actually like, and maybe it's because it feels pretty balanced. But again, I haven't really had any keys yet feel terrible. Cinderbrew did at the start, but Cinderbrew doesn't feel terrible now. I'm kind of enjoying them all.
Cinderbrew isn't too bad. I'm not a huge fan of Priory. Priory, I've just not.
Really, dude? Because Priory's been one that a lot of people have been enjoying.
Nah, dude, Priory's rough.
Really? Where are you getting stuck in there?
Dude, I can't like get a group that doesn't know how to butt pull. Like, oh my goodness, man. Like, I get in this dungeon and I'm pulling like basically every single mob up to the first friggin' boss because everything gets butt pulled so easily.
Interesting.
Oh my goodness, dude.
I haven't really had too much of that issue. But maybe it's where I'm pulling things to, right? I'm usually pulling things back to me, like that opening pool area. I'll usually pull things back into the hallway. But I also know like kind of what's coming in there. That's kind of a fun pool area though, because you can kind of get bigger pools and it's not too crazy. It's mostly all manageable. It to me it starts to get crazy in that final hallway to the last boss. That's where it gets a little crazy. Even the hallway, like the
that one's not bad though.
Yeah, but that's if people are butt pulling, that's usually where I find people butt pulling. This right before the second boss, I guess if you run into the room too much, you can pull more than you want to. But that one's not as bad as it used to be, especially because the consecrates, like the consecrates were like wild when that dungeon first came out. Yeah. But as a mythic, it's not too bad.
No, it's not bad at all. Dude, I just haven't had good luck with that dungeon.
Priory, the struggle I found in Priory is actually the last boss. Because the first boss is kind of a pain, but very doable. The second boss is so easy. The second boss is a joke.
The second boss is pretty easy. It's just dodge stuff, move around.
And by the way, the second boss, though, you kind of have to know the trick to him. So if you don't know it, I guess he could be really, really frustrating. If you're a tank, kite him like immediately to an edge of the room. Just like right away, kite him to an edge of the room. Because he's going to drop his hammers generally wherever he is, right? Then the next thing you want to do is then run out of the hammers. He's then going to spawn that like little soak area where you have to have 3 people run into it and pop all 3 orbs. Here's the thing about that, though. It doesn't have to be different people if you're smart enough to play a Blood DK.
Yeah, dude. Oh, my goodness.
So, like pop a AMS and a Death's Advance and then just, like, run to the edge of it and stutter step in and out real fast, right? And
no, just pop dude, I don't even think you have to do that. I think you can just stand there.
Oh, can you just stand there and do it? I usually just
because you don't get the bounce back because typically when you go in it just like pops you right back out. But
that's why I do like
Advance,
I do
I
a quick little stutter step. It does, but I don't think it pops all 3.
Are you sure?
I don't think so. So I mean, it might. I'm usually like in out real fast. And I just get them all and then run back over. Even for the 5-banger, I'll still do that when that one pops up. Yeah, dude. It's the last boss, though, that I find people have trouble on. It's in twofold. One, the boss does a blind, and I think people forget about it all the time.
Dude,
right?
DBM, baby.
DBM is great, but I think people just forget. I think they just forget that that's a mechanic. And then the second thing that gets people out is when you have to go up to the top and those ads start running up. Those ads hit hard, and they're just gonna laser onto people.
Bruh. Okay, hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, here's my big bruh moment for the podcast. Maybe new segment where I'm just gonna put a bruh moment. So imagine this. I was running this 7 priority, right?
Yeah.
Not anything crazy, right? And we're at the final boss. We probably had like, we easily could have timed it. Easily.
Yeah.
And we start going up, and the absolute second, and I don't mean like the second, like it comes, Zalatath comes in and starts talking. The second she runs up the stairs and we go up to follow her, the void thing spawns. The absolute second. And everybody just runs right up. And I'm like, okay, well, you should probably burn this first, but I'm just going to run up too. And the Void Walker thing followed me up. Guess what? We didn't down it. And guess what? It gave a 25% buff to the boss and all of the ads. We wiped.
For anybody listening to the podcast, he said it gave a 25% buff to all of the ads, and they wiped.
Oh, did I cut out?
No. You came through, but it was a little muffled. I think you cupped the mic.
Dude, imagine. I was like, bruh. Dude, biggest bruh moment of this week. Dude,
Bro,
I don't know what it is.
Dude, I've gone into that fight. Dude, I've gone into that boss with like 10 minutes on the timer. Like something crazy. And still not timed it.
No.
It's like, I'm like, what the heck is going on? What am I being trolled? I remember walking away from that. I think we wiped to the boss like 4 times. I think it took us 5 tries to kill the boss. And that 5th try was like when we were finally over time. I was like, well, maybe it wasn't the 5th try. It was like maybe the 3rd try or whatever time or something. But I remember just being like, what the heck is going on? And I like, it's nice if you have like a monk or something with a knockback. But I really like Death and Decay is great for there because it slows the mobs down. So it's not necessarily keeping them away totally, but slowing them down enough that maybe you can burn them, right? And you're still within range to kind of burn them a little bit.
Yeah.
Once you and the mobs only come up twice, right? There's only like 2 waves of them. Mm-hmm. So once you break the boss's shield, just pull the boss back as far as you can. So that way, then you have more room as the mobs kind of come up to slow them and to kind of kill them. But I don't think people prioritize them. I think people are like, oh, we'll just cleave the mobs when they get to the boss. And it's like, no.
Yeah.
No, this isn't free. This isn't free DPS check, right? Like, this is like, hey, go kill this thing or you die. You die if you don't kill this. So like, maybe take care of it. I don't know.
It's rough, bro.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't even know if, and I did check the notes. Or like Wowhead, and I might just do it real quick again.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure they buffed the Void Walker thing because.
Are you talking about the Zalatath's ghosty thing that comes out? You have to burn her down.
Dude, I swear they buffed it.
Okay, I just want to clarify. That's not a Void Walker. I just want to a Void Walker is like a special Void being. I know Zalatath is a Void being, but it's different. Void Walkers come from the Void realm.
Void Bound. Void Emissary, that's what it is. The Void Emissary. Okay, nerd.
Clarify that. All of our warlocks who are listening right now are probably screaming like, "That's not a Void Walker!"
Bruh. Nerd. Bruh moment. That's a big bruh moment too.
Why? Because I know the game language.
No, that's a big bruh moment on my end, is what I was saying. It's a big bruh moment. Like, bruh, it's not a Void Walker, it's a Void Emissary, bruh moment. Anyways, no, dude, I swear they buffed that. Or just people in the dungeons that I've ran with this week just don't even like care about affix. They're like, affix who? Like, not even, dude. I've had that Void Emissary cast on mobs literally like, I would say 50% of the time in my dungeons. I swear they buffed it, or people just are like, I don't care. I'm like, dude, come on. Dude, it's rough, man. I don't know what it is. I feel like it was the same way with last week, too. Like with the new orbs thing. Yeah. Like, I feel like people just didn't even care. They're just like, affix who?
Yeah, what do you think of those new orbs?
Oh, dude, I think they're really cool. I like it, dude.
Yeah, so we're talking about the new affix, right? Where the orbs kind of slowly circle around players and you have to grab them.
Yeah, instead of the balls raining down on you, you have the balls circling you. I like it. It's so much better.
I'm just hoping players get better at how they handle it. I will say the number of times I've like watched players run in patterns that like the orbs are moving away from them at basically the same speed that they're moving because the other player is also moving. Like right, like so, like let's say I've seen where like two players will have their orb in like on the same side of them, right? And so they're trying to pop each other's orbs.
Yeah.
Or they're trying to run their orb over the other player. It goes both ways.
Like,
but because both of them have their orbs in the same spot positionally compared to themselves, they're just like indefinitely running. And I'm like, okay, this is good.
Yeah.
If one of you literally just stops for a second.
Oh, dude, it's terrible.
Right. And then the other one then moves afterwards, you're fine. Right. Like, what's going on here? What is happening? What is this nonsense? This is crazy. But all of that to say though, I do like the affix. I think it's got better synergy with mechanics on bosses, right, compared to the old one. The old one, I think, was a big problem for boss mechanics. I'm curious how it's going to work out. I think the big trick with it, though, is to be careful that when it's happening, you're not butt-pulling things. Because those are the moments that you're going to go crazy, where you're like, oh, no, this popped up, I have to handle it. I only have half a second, and you run and pull 12 packs, right?
Right.
you have a moment. You have a moment to handle the affix, and use that time. That time exists. Use it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're making it more complex than it has to be.
Yeah, dude. I agree. Like that might be. I feel like previously that was like the worst affix. Like the balls raining down was like honestly probably one of the worst affixes. I'm low key thinking that might be the best.
The balls raining down is still there, right? It's the one where the orbs spawn out and they kind of suck in towards NPCs. That's the one that was removed.
Yes, yeah. I didn't mean the orbs that you have to like interrupt.
Yeah, I like that one too. I like that one.
Yeah, that one's not bad.
Yeah.
Dude, I didn't mind the Voidwalker one until this week either, dude. I felt like the Voidwalker one was easy. Yeah. But now I'm like, maybe it's not. Yeah. Oh, dude. Bruh.
The Void Emissary isn't bad. I can see, though, how like you get that one moment where you're just like, no, this is the worst time. But oftentimes it dies pretty quickly, so it's just kind of like a really easy, like, hey, focus it and cleave everything else type moment. But yeah, it's not too bad.
I agree, but I don't think the people I was in dungeons with this week would agree. Like, it was bad, bro. I did try, and I'll give my last hot take here and after I say this. I did try Unholy once, and it felt pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, it feels like really good.
Not good enough for Race to World First, though.
Well, that's a different story that we'll talk about in a second after I give my last hot take.
Okay, what's your last hot take?
Dude, I'm on the fence about this, but I don't know if an 11 delve is worth running for the Gilded Crest. I don't think it is.
I agree and I disagree at the same time.
So, okay.
Yeah, so what I mean by that is like, dude, to me, delves are like, they're just not fun. I just don't care, right? But again, though, I don't really care for Call of Duty that much, and I know you enjoy playing Call of Duty, right? So I'm not saying delves are bad. I'm just saying that's a gameplay style that just does not appeal to me. I know we got plenty of delve runners that listen to the podcast.
Heck yeah,
bless your hearts. Love you guys. Enjoy your delves. And for that player, I think the crests that they can get are wonderful. I think that they're probably super thankful that they can get gilded crests, so that they can upgrade their heroic gear all the way. Do I think they should be getting it? I don't know. I think it's fine. I think it's fine. And 11 does get difficult. And it's not giving myth track gear. It's just giving crests that allow you to upgrade hero track gear, which is nice. And myth track if you have it already. So I have no problem with that. What I would say, though, is if I was like, oh, dude, I need gilded crests. Yo, dude, I'm going to go slam keys. If I mythic rated, I go clear some early bosses, right? Those are obviously the optimal ways to do it. I think the gilded crests and delves are just like, hey, you need these. They help upgrade loot that you can get in this content. This is not really supposed to be the best place to get them, though. So we're going to give you some. But really, I think the sacrifice you're making is you're saying, well, I want that thing, but I don't want to do like the group content. I just want to kind of quietly do it at my own pace, which is fine. But then like expect it to be kind of maybe a slower paced.
Oh, it is,
piece
dude.
of content, right?
100%.
And that's probably where you and I would be like, oh, it's not worth doing. Because we're like, dude, let's just go jump in keys and just like spam them. And 30 minutes, I got like 18 crests, right? Or something.
Yeah, you get like twice as many.
Yep. So I think that's the trade-off. But again, though, it allows you to go slower. It allows you to not have to group up with people. It allows you to just kind of like enjoy the content as yourself. So on one hand, I'm like, yeah, is it worth it for me? Nah, dude. You're never gonna see me farming Gilded Crest. Maybe I'll get some if I, for whatever reason, do some 11s. Right, I'll get them. But I would not say for me it's worth it because I wouldn't enjoy it. It wouldn't be fun, and it wouldn't be times. It wouldn't be like It's not like I'd be saving time and doing it. Right. If anything, it'd probably be more time to do it. On the other hand, though, players who already like delves, who already like doing the content, who really don't want to be going into M+, especially at like a 10 level or 8 or 7, whatever Gilded Crests are offered in now. 7, right? Yep. You know, definitely don't want to be going to +7 keys. Don't want to be mythic rating. The fact that the delve offers it, absolutely worth it for them to do because where else are they going to get them, right? So mega worth it. And so that's where I think it's funny, right? Like I think I agree and disagree at the same time where I'm like, yeah, dude, for me, not worth it. But for many players, yeah, I bet you they love. In fact, I bet you they love it so much that they're upset they can't get more Gilded Crests from that content.
Oh yeah, they definitely are.
Right. And so, yeah,
that's a cap on it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, dude, I will say that though it does feel like, and I don't know if it's just the natural progression of an expansion, but 11s definitely felt like easier this time around than they did last season.
It's very possible we're getting more gear. I've been doing delves on my healer, and tank brand is great. My healer was just very under geared. I really didn't gear it up much last season, and so I was like, I'm just not. Let me relearn this character a little bit before I jump into M+. And so, dude, I'm clearing like 8s on like a, I don't know, barely over 600 eye level resto shaman, and I'm just like spamming heals. I'm just like spamming heals into Bran. I'm not even paying attention half the time. I'm just like hit Bran with some heals. Let's go. And this is post nerf, right? Post nerf. So it's definitely different. It feels a little bit easier than maybe last season, but that's hard to tell too. Because again, you're coming in with more gear. I wasn't doing delves at the end of last season, so I don't know. I know nothing.
You know nothing.
I know nothing. All I know is I need more Gilded Crests. And
yeah, well,
I'm gonna do
doesn't everyone,
for
man?
them. Yeah.
Anyways, so yeah, I mean, I think it was pretty close towards. I mean, you hinted the next topic. I think it was pretty close towards the end of your live stream, your 24-hour live stream. Shameless plug.
Dude, that was just last weekend too, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yo, this whole week has been so wildly busy for me. Like, dude, I've not stopped since that 24-hour live stream. That it feels like it was a month ago. Like, it feels so long ago. But that was just last weekend. Wow. Crazy. Sorry, that just blew my mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was last week that...
I guess when this podcast releases, it would be 2 weekends ago, right? Because the podcast comes out on Monday, so...
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
2 weekends ago.
Yeah.
That they took down Mythic Galowix, which is kind of nuts that they took it out in what they said. I just had it up here. They took it out in 48 pools, which is nuts, dude. Oh my goodness. Means that it took them like 148 pools to do the second to last boss.
Yeah.
And what wasn't like the fourth boss, or it was the third or the fourth boss. that was just like extremely hard. It was the fourth.
Oh, you think of Stick Spunk Junker, right?
Yeah, dude. That boss was like nutty, and they're like hitting it with like mad nerfs right now, which kind of goes back to you saying that like you like to do raids before they're nerfed. Imagine beating Race to World first, and you don't even get anything nerfed. Well, not this time around, at least. Boom.
Yeah, it's interesting to me because there's so many different takes, right? You have the players who are like, well, it should never be that hard in the first place. And it's like, okay, I'll go play it. Go do heroic. I don't know.
Yeah,
dude.
right.
If you want an easier experience, go do heroic. I'm a weird person to ask because I don't raid Mythic. So am I ever going to fight Mythic Galliwix? No. So does that affect me? Kinda. I think Race to World First is a really cool thing. I think Race to World First builds a lot of hype. It's a fun conversational piece with my friends who play WoW. It gives me something to talk about. Like I got a few friends at work who play WoW, and when the race comes around, dude, we're sitting and we're chatting about it. We're sitting and chatting about it all the time. I love it, right? I love having that conversation. And this year around, it just wasn't the same. And I think there's a couple elements that play into it. One is that obviously there's no heroic week. Right, they've kind of been doing away with heroic week, and so you're immediately going in. And every time I would tune into the race to be like, "Oh, what's going on with the race? The world first?" They'd be doing like splits, and I'm like, "Oh, never mind. I'm done. I'm not watching. This is stupid.
Right.
This is stupid. I don't want to watch him push through heroic and just feed gear, right? Like, that's dumb. That content sucks. Don't do that to me, please. Don't do that to me."
Yeah.
And so it was just all splits, and then by the time they're in a fight, right, like. I remember watching on my live stream, waiting for him to get the kill on Muggsy. I missed it. I think it was in the key or something when it happened. And then when I checked, they had killed Muggsy, and they were like heading towards what's his face, Galliwix, right? So then, and then I think it was like I finished my stream, and Galliwix was not dead. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna sleep for a few hours, right? It was like 11 a.m. I just streamed for 24 hours. Let me sleep for a few hours. No way on earth are they killing Galliwix. I'll watch this later. I wake up from my nap. Boom, Galliwix is dead. I'm like, what the heck?
What?
How did this happen? And the reason why it's disappointing, again, I'm more hyped about Liquid winning. Like, I actually don't care that much. I'm weird like this. I don't care that much for watching every pool. I will go back and watch like the winning pool if I missed it. I'd like to try and catch it if I can. What I love, though, is the competition of watching the score, right? There's something fun about a football game. Obviously, the game itself is fun. But have you ever, like, been somewhere where the game is on and you're kind of just, like, enjoying the excitement and the conversation? Maybe, like, a Super Bowl party where, like, you're not a huge football fan, but you still have your team and your team's in the Super Bowl this year. And so you're not watching every play. You're watching the commercials a little bit. You're talking to people about it. You're kind of hyped up, but then you keep checking the score, right? That is, I think, Race to World First for me oftentimes, where like I'm tracking the score and I'm like texting friends and I'm like, yo, did you see like we're 5% ahead of Echo right now. We're keeping ahead. Oh no, dude, our guys went to bed and Echo stole our strategy. Now they're 3% ahead of us, right? And so that's fun, right? That's fun to me. When the guild gets Race to World First and they get Cutting Edge first, right? They kill Galliwix first, and they look visibly confused at how they just killed that boss. That's kind of odd to me, right?
Yeah, you're like, what?
And so there's some odd things. Obviously, going dark is not very exciting content. I don't love it when they go dark. I get why they do it because they don't want Echo to just log in and take their strat, or Method just log in and take their strat. And especially with this fight where, like, all of it was so new because there was no, like, dungeon journal, so they had to go in and experience it and then go dark. That's not exciting. I've toyed with the thought of, like, what if there was rules to Race to World First? Right? Like, what if the first 3 weeks of raid, or maybe 4 weeks, I don't know, first 3 weeks of raid, 4 weeks of raid, you had to like lock in for Race to World First. And so I don't know if that means like you can only play one character, or you can only like play one of each class. I don't know what that would mean exactly, but some sort of lock-in system where anybody who wanted to compete in Race the World first, or really even just do Mythic raiding that first week, has to like kind of commit to locking in. And that way then all the like the negative stuff of like, dude, they're just running heroic splits all day long. Yeah, that's stupid. That is stupid content. Nobody who's doing that enjoys it. Not a single person enjoys doing heroic splits unless you're the dude who's just like, yay, I finally got into the liquid heroic splits. I'm not even getting loot. I'm just so happy to be here and funnel them loot, right? Like, if that's you and you're just happy to be there, cool, whatevs. Cool, that's awesome.
That's kind of neat.
That's great, right? No shame in that. No shame at all. But at the same time, it's a kind of lame content. Nobody wants to watch it. And I think what's hard is when WoW is building momentum, because again, it's marketing, right? When WoW has these moments where it's building huge momentum, and the biggest guilds in the world are all live streaming their race to kill this boss, and people are tuning in, and then it's just split, so they leave. That's not good. That's not good marketing for the game. That's just not good. It's not a good look, right? Like the more intense what Blizzard can make Race the World first, the more they can get people talking about it excitedly, not negatively, but excitedly talk about Race the World first, the better it is. The better it is, right? I know. Race the World first players don't like doing splits. So if you could find a way where you're like, hey, you know what? No more splits. Like, you have one character, you're locked into it. Some of the RNG of gear is going to just naturally affect how you play, right? Like, you can't have because and by the way, for anybody listening who's like, I don't get why, like, what are splits? What does that matter? So splits are basically when you go into a raid because you're trying to gear up specific characters, and so you just kind of like class stack or like type stack so that you can funnel all that extra gear into a player on the raid team.
Yes.
And where it gets really bad, though, is you're like, oh, that's great. Like, you do runs, you funnel gear. If that was it, awesome. The problem is a lot of these guys, I think this race had like 14 alts. All of the same class, right? And so the idea was like, you had to run splits on all of your alts, and then whichever one was the most geared by the end of it, that was the one that went. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. Unless I understand it wrong.
That sounds pretty accurate.
Right? And so, like, how do you alleviate that so that the majority of the content can just be people trying to learn how to overcome these boss fights? Because that's what we want to watch. We just want to watch people tactically try to overcome these fights, learn the mechanics, play at the highest skill level possible. What splits makes me think of, like, dude, imagine if like we used football already, right? Let's do like another football reference. We're big Eagles fans, obviously. The podcast people know that. Well, you're a big fan. I'm a fan who just enjoys it when we make it to the Super Bowl. So
sure,
something like that. So let's say like the season starts, right? And like it's like, yo, there's a big game tonight, and you like tune into the game, and they're like, oh, never mind, the team took a break to go practice. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
Right? Like imagine like half the time you turn on the TV to go watch like your favorite team play, they're actually just practicing. And not like scheduled. Like, I mean, obviously it's scheduled, but like people don't know rating schedules, right? Like, it's like, hey guys, new thing comes out. They're just streaming basically 24/7 for the next 2 weeks, right? Just tune in whenever you can. And so people are tuning in, and it's just garbage content.
Yeah, all right. Yeah.
And so it's just such a bad look. And that's why it's a big deal to me. Because I think Race to World First is one of those things that has so much potential to build so much hype.
Dude, it does. Oh my goodness.
So much hype. And I think WoW needs to start. Blizzard has historically kind of ignored Race to World First publicly. They've publicly ignored it. Obviously, we know they care about it because they intentionally make the bosses harder for Race to World First. We watch them retune the bosses live during the race.
Literally.
Now, they didn't really do it too much this time around, but normally they would be retuning bosses live in order to like maximize the time in the race. They obviously like are stricter on punishing players who I don't want to say cheat necessarily, but oh gosh, what's the terminology I'm looking for? But players who abuse systems, right, in the game. who are competing in Race to World
find
First.
glitches, things like that.
Yeah, find glitches, little bugs. There's a term, probably starts with an L, but I can't remember it right now. Somebody let me know on Discord when this podcast
Starts with
comes
an
out.
L.
I think it might start with an L. But anyways, though, all of that to say, I just think that Blizzard obviously cares about Race to World First. I think they see a value in Race to World First. I just wish that maybe I wish it was a more public competition, right? I wish that it was something that it was like, yeah, Race World First is coming up. If you want to compete to be the first guild that completes this run, here are the rules to do that, right? And it's like, you can only step into Mythic this month with one character. Yeah. You're locked to one character, right? Or because I also understand part of the fun of Race to World First. I totally get it. Part of the fun of Race to World First is also watching people like rebalance their team for every single boss. That's fun. Right? That is fun to see different comps going on constantly. Like, wasn't there like a fight where we had like 3 tanks or something, or like 3 blood DKs?
Dude, there's a couple of those. There's also like some fights where there's just like 6 mages.
Yeah, dude, like 12 monks.
Oh, dude, there's so many monks this time around, dude. It's busted. Oh, my goodness.
Anyways, you know, that part's fun. So maybe you go, okay, hey, you can only play one class, right? You can only play one class per account. And then they'd also have to just lock in and make sure that people aren't just like, I don't know, just like making 30 accounts, right? Which...
Oh, exactly. Yeah,
I mean, at some point you can only make so many accounts because that starts to, add up over cost. But I also know that they make good ad revenue and they're spending good money. So I don't know. I don't even know anymore. But I do know that like it's enjoyable to watch, and Blizzard needs to maximize that. Blizzard needs to make it in some context. Blizzard needs to make it an official thing. Also, dude, I want to know that we kind of mentioned earlier about the DKs being absent from Race to World First. What are your thoughts on that? Blood DKs were there. We just didn't see any DPS DKs, correct?
No, there wasn't any blood DKs.
They're not in Race to World First. There were none.
Nope. No.
Are you sure? Dude, I'm pretty sure I saw blood DKs.
No DKs. Not this time around. No. I don't think so.
Dude, I'm pretty sure there's like okay, I'm looking this up. But
nah, dude, tank or warrior is just like a goated tank right now. Like,
no, I know warrior's good. I know warrior's really good right now.
And I think the other one just went to Prot because went to Pally because it was just they needed the other paladin spec.
Interesting.
Yeah, the article that kind of linked this and why I thought it was kind of funny. He said there's no DKs whatsoever.
That is so fascinating.
So, yeah, dude, it was. So, I've vouched for this for the whole time, and this is the first time I've ever actually seen it stated in layman's terms that like Blizzard has basically stated that Death Grip is like the equivalent of a raid buff.
I think Maximum did an interview with somebody like last year, and they said it.
Okay.
Yeah, if I recall correctly. Yeah. So the idea. So here's the problem. The idea is that Death Grip is important enough to be a raid buff. Theoretically, yes. And by the way, a lot of times in raids, yeah, Death Grip is wonderful. Death Grip is so freaking good. The problem is they're not looking at it the same way, right? They're not like, well, the raid buff for priests is Life Grip, right? Or Rescue is the raid buff for evokers. Right, like they're not contextually arranging that in the same concept.
No.
Even though those are frequently used and highly valuable assets in a raid, we see them used all the time. They were used for. I don't think they would have gotten Muggsy down without like rescues going on. So that played a bigger role than Death Grip did. I think for any fight. The other problem, though, the secondary problem with that argument, is that Death Grip isn't even across all the specs, right? So like imagine let's do a simple run. Like Arcane Intellect. What's the buff on Arcane Intellect? Is it like 5% or something? 2%? What is it?
I think it's 5%.
Let's say it's 5%, right? And let's say Blizzard goes,
I think
hey,
all of them are 5 except Verse. I think Mark of the Wild was only 4.
Yeah. So let's say Blizzard goes, hey, heads up. Arcane Intellect is the raid buff for mages. Mages have Arcane Intellect. And somebody was like, yeah, but Arcane mages get 15% increased for everybody, and all the other mages just get 5%.
Yeah.
You'd be like, what the heck? What the heck's going on? Well, that's the case with DK. DK has better grips. I think the timer's shorter, correct?
Blood has slightly less timer.
Has a shorter timer, and Blood also has Gorfine's Grasp, which anytime Death Grip is highly valuable, Gorfine's Grasp is usually highly valuable as well.
Yes.
And then I always forget, I think I get it wrong. Do DPS DKs also have the double grip, or is it just one?
Yes.
Okay.
No, we do have the double grip is linked with Death Advance and Death and Decay.
Okay, so that is okay. I didn't know if that was for all or just Blood. So at least they have that. But even still, though, right? Shorter timer, Gorfine's Grasp. Why on earth? Why would you ever? Why would you ever choose a DK? And I think we've talked about this in the past on the podcast, so we don't have to harp on it long. I believe the conclusion that we had, the idea we had, maybe somebody gave it to me on the when I was live streaming one time, so I can't really take full credit for it. But I think I helped tweak the idea. I don't remember. But what about like if they just had a leech buff? Because I'm sure part of it. I'm sure part of it is Blizzard's like, what the heck do we even give them at this point? Like, what else is left for a raid buff? But leech would be kind of a dope raid buff.
Dude, leech would be clutch. Yeah, dude.
And it's thematic. It's very thematic for a DK.
Oh, it is. It is. I'm just like every single class has what I would call like raid support. Like you kind of said. You have your rescue. I mean, you have PI is another good raid support for oh my goodness, priest. You got your I would say at least every class has 1 to 2 raid supports, and you can say that about DKs. We have AMS or AMZ, AMS. Now you can kind of draft it to 2 other people, kind of raid support, right? Grips, sloppy hands, blah blah blah. But there's no on top of those raid supports. Every single class has what you call raid buff, where you get a buff to your stats, or a temporary buff, if you will, if you want to consider like Lust a raid buff, right? And DKs just don't. Yeah, dude, I think they just have to do the Lich one. I think that would be neat, dude.
Yeah, Lich would be dope. Okay, but also hot take. Who cares if a class doesn't show up at Race to World first?
Dude, it's not inclusive. That's why.
I don't care, dude. I don't care.
If I can't be invited to Race to Worlds first, dude, then I'm not even gonna why even bother playing WoW? Dude, it's the culture, man. Like the WoW culture.
Right. I mean, I know you're being sarcastic right now, but the honest answer is ultimately who cares? Who cares if if you care enough, then do it. Right? Or you don't care, right? I don't want to hear anybody who won Race to World first complain to me that a class they like to play wasn't included, because I'm like, well, that's your fault. You made that choice. All right?
Yeah.
That was your choice. And they could be like, well, I need to do it. We needed to win. We could only win by not doing that. Okay. Then you chose winning. Yeah. What's wrong with that, right? We make choices every single day. We're constantly making choices all the time of which do I value more? And in that case, you said, I value having this over playing my DK. Awesome. Then clearly you didn't care enough. Otherwise, if you did care, you just would have played your DK anyways and had fun with it. And you know why? Because that's what I do. DK could be the worst tank ever. And guess what? I'd still probably be taking it to raid. Why? Because I like it. It's fun. And I have a great community that I can raid with. And I love raiding with them. And I know even if DK is doo-doo, they'd still take me because we're a community and we just have fun gaming together. That you're right. So to me, it's hard to have sympathy. It's hard to have sympathy because I'm like, yeah, cool. On the other hand, I also recognize that, every class has a raid buff, so like they should probably have something, right? Like that'd probably be smart. But then also I'm like, yeah, but stop complaining, dude. You guys are competing to be the first to win or first to complete this raid in the entire world. You're playing at a level and capacity that like the game just can't reasonably be balanced around. It just can't. When you're trying to do gameplay where like every like half of a percent matters. Okay, great. There's this like I think I get tired of hearing the conversation of like high-end keys players, especially, right? Like high-end keys players complaining about like balance issues. And then I look and I'm like, well, everything seems pretty balanced up until like after like a 14. And then it's like after 14, then it locks you into like a meta or something. I'm like, okay, cool, it is. Then don't go higher than 14. Like, because in my mind, I'm like, yeah, if you're doing infinitely scaling content, at some point, it's gonna get unbalanced, right? Like the fact that the game's as balanced as it is. How many specs are there in the game? Was it like 36 or something?
30 something.
Yeah, well, let's say 36 just to be safe. There's 36 specs in the game that Blizzard has to try and balance together. The fact that it's as close as it is mind-boggling.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible.
It's mind-boggling. And guess what, dude? They just had to buff Brewmaster damage because Brewmaster damage I guess wasn't good enough or something. And bro, listen, dude, the Brewmaster in our raid out DPS's me every freaking time. It's not even close. I think I got him in one fight, and I was probably avoiding mechanics just to try and juice out a little DPS. Dude, like at the end of the day, right? Like for 99% of players, no, not even. For 99.9% of players, remember it's 0.1% for title holders in M+, right? So unless you're pushing title keys, who cares? Who cares? Your own skill is going to make or break it. And sure, you'd be like, well, I'm not going to invite you to groups because I'm not the meta. Well, you know what, dude? Maybe we should stop that conversation about what's important for the top 0.1% of key runners, right? Like,
true.
I have like, I don't know, man. I go back and forth because meta will always exist. You can't get rid of it. You can't get rid of it. Because people are pushing content that's so freaking hard that the game's balance just has to break down at some point. It has to. You can't avoid it. And if they did balance it perfectly, if it was like right now, let's say people are running 18s right now. I don't know what they're running. Let's say they're running 18s right now. And it feels perfectly balanced at 18s. Well, guess what? By the time they get to 20s, it's probably not.
Nope.
Right. Like no matter how much Blizzard fine-tunes it, at some point, it's going to break down again. At some point, it's going to be a problem again. At some point, they're going to discover, oh, this fun little ability that this class has here actually makes this mechanic 10 times easier to handle. And it was like not the original intent. It was not the original goal, right? So you're never going to have a perfectly balanced game. You can't. You just can't.
No.
It's not going to happen. So instead of like crying about perfect balance, I get it. Definitely put a little pressure on Blizzard, right? Make sure if your class is really bad, let them hear it. I'm sure they react to that stuff a lot, but Blizzard does a great job. He does a great job for the most part balancing things.
Granted, I will say that I think people see them adding raid buffs to all the classes that don't have raid buffs. And maybe that makes them a little more upset. I mean, we saw the rogue raid buff in Dragonflight. We saw the shaman raid buff this season. Low key, and this might be a hot take. I might be like predicting the future. I think we're gonna see a big DK rework, either the next expansion or the following. I really do think we'll see a big DK rework.
Yeah, I'm curious. It's hard to tell because I actually think DK is a relatively fun class to play.
Oh, I think it is too.
Mm-hmm.
But I think some of the recent rework, I think Unholy just kind of feels like, I don't know. I feel like everyone that played Unholy before they basically stripped it down to its bare bones. I don't really like it much anymore. I think Unholy was a very complex spec to play. It was.
And I think that complexity was very attractive to some players.
It was.
And then other players were like, well, I want to play it because it's class fantasy, but it's way too complicated.
Yeah,
and you run into the hard problem. It's the same conversation I had earlier about why I don't really care that much for normal raid, right? Like, I think I'm born to raid heroic and some mythic, but instead I am punished to raid normal and heroic, right? But I complain about normal raid because it's not engaging me, right? Like it's just mentally not engaging. And I think that's probably how you feel with Unholy, right? You went from this point where like it was mentally very stimulating for you. You were like, yeah, I got a lot of things I got to do. It keeps it fun, keeps me engaged. It feels rewarding when I get to smack those big buttons and pull off my cooldowns just right. And then going to like, oh, never mind. Now it's easy mode. Like, and for a lot of people, they're probably like, yeah, this is so much easier. I'm doing more damage now. I'm like, but for the people who were actually in love with it because of the design of the class and not just the like, I get to summon some skellies, right? The people who love the design of the class, right? All of a sudden, it's no longer the thing they loved. Ah, man, dude, again, maybe Blizzard should start paying me because I just gotta say, like, Blizzard, if you guys are listening right now, thank you for all the hard work you put in. I know we pay you for the game. I know we pay you for the game, but for real, you guys have created a game I love. And a big part of that is how much work you put into balance things, how much work you put into design these classes. 36 unique feeling and playing classes is a wild thing to pull off. And I'm sure in a few years we'll probably have like 39 or something, or 40 even. I don't know. But
probably.
It just blows. And then on top of that, right, like all the hero talent stuff, just blows my mind what these developers have been able to create. There's no game out there like this. And as much as we complain about stuff, like, dude, no one else is coming close. And I don't care. Don't tell me about this random MMO that you play with 4 other people. Like, dude, nah. There's nothing that comes close to what WoW's doing.
That's kind of funny. Although, oh my goodness, I was just thinking I was gonna say this. I don't remember what it is, but yeah, maybe we should get paid by Blizzard to not only bash the game one podcast, but then the next podcast talk about how great it is.
Think about it, right? Like, yo, wait. Let me test it out. Welcome to the Warband, a World of Warcraft podcast brought to you by Blizzard Entertainment. I'm one of your hosts, Swaglock, and with me today, as always, is Chicken.
That's got a pretty good ring to it.
Yeah, dude. That's what I'm saying, bro. That's what I'm saying. If Thoughtbot doesn't want to sponsor us, maybe we get that Blizzard Entertainment.
Oh my goodness.
Microsoft, maybe? Hey. I don't know. How far up the food chain do we have to go?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. Well, we got to go to BlizzCon first.
Yeah.
Talk to him there.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna be honest with you, dude. My brain power is like starting to fall off a cliff right now. So do you want to just jump to some of these listener questions that are coming in?
I want to ask you one quick question real quick. And
dungeons are fun. If it's a dungeon question, dungeons are fun.
It is a dungeon question.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you what you think the best completion rate is out of the 8 dungeons for week 2. So not this current week, but last week.
Like, as in, like, which dungeon do I think has the best chances of being completed?
No, this is which dungeon statistically had the most completed keys.
Okay, yeah, that's what I meant. That's what I think.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah. If I had to guess, which dungeon has the most completed keys? Dude, Workshop feels pretty easy. Workshop feels fine. Fear of Pain feels fine. Unless we're getting, I'm trying to think, like, if there's one that just blows me away. Like, whoa, that one? That's the one? I mean, maybe Floodgate? I don't know. Although my completion rate on Floodgate is ain't it? So I might be weighing that statistic down. So I don't know. What is it?
It's Dark Flame Cleft.
Dark Flame Cleft. That makes sense. I believe it.
Dude, Dark Flame Cleft had a 93% completion rate last week. Dude, that's nuts.
Yeah, but Dark Flame Cleft doesn't really have too much that's crazy. It's also got a lot of like very linear stuff in it. What I will say though is I have had groups fall apart on it. and they fall apart definitely on boss mechanics. It's boss mechanics way more than trash. There's a couple trash packs that hit tanks hard, but it's not like they're doing like crazy AoE or anything. You do pull smaller, I think, in Dark Flame, which is lame, right? You get smaller trash packs for sure. But again, though, timer's kind of forgiving for that, so you just do a bunch of small pulls, you're fine. I do though, I think the last time I did Dark Flame Cleft, my group fell apart on the first boss. They were not kiting the little guys over the tracks to get hit. They were just kind of standing there, letting the little guys just wail on them. And so, it was just a problem with like not doing ad mechanics. No, they didn't blame me. They just, I don't know, dude. They just gave up. We pulled the boss like 4 times. I was about to leave. I was like, dude, I can't do this. I'm sorry, I can't do this. And luckily, someone else left before I did, because I was like,
I don't blame you.
I never like being the first one to leave. But overall, though, I'm liking dungeons right now.
Yeah,
I'm liking them at the
moment. They're pretty good.
Yeah,
there is something that I want to talk about. I occurred in a dungeon this week, but we can cover it next week.
You can talk about it. Don't even ask my opinion. Just talk about it. Yeah, dude. Yeah.
No, dude, I'm telling you, if I bring this up, dude, we'll be talking about this for at least the next 15 minutes. I guarantee you.
I'm ready.
Dude,
I'm ready. I'm ready. I can do it. I can do it. I got tomorrow the rest.
Dude, okay. Can I just I'm just gonna like tease it, and then you can be like, okay, yeah, we're not talking about that.
Okay.
I got into a dungeon. Like I was just like, I'm just gonna like see if I can queue for like a random dungeon. It was not a floodgate. It was a workshop, 5 workshop. I was like, I'll just do something quick because I wanted to get another slot in my vault. And I get invited to it. And the first thing that comes across as a party message was from one of the people in the party. And it was literally just, and this is why there's not enough tanks in this game. And I was like, oh boy, let's see what we can get out of this guy. And then another like person in the group was like, oh, like haha, like blah blah blah. And I was like immediately I saw that message and I just quick typed in. I was like, oh, why is that? Why is there not enough tanks? And he literally said, because people are dumb. And I was like, I don't know what that means. He was like, people just can't tank well. And I was like, oh no, this guy. Oh
yeah,
dude,
I mean the proper response would be to respond back and just be like, yo, is that why you're not a tank?
Oh dude, I should have.
Right.
Oh my goodness.
Dude, okay, can I be honest about WoW for a second? Dude,
sure,
I love WoW. I love WoW so much, bro. I love this game, dude. I love this game. Nerds are an interesting species.
That's fair. I'll give you that one.
Nerds are an interesting species because I think a lot of nerds think they're like the quiet, like nice person. They're just weird. They're goofy, but they're kind of sweet, right? What I have found though, dude, is like, oh gosh, I don't even know. I'm about to upset a lot of people. And I shouldn't say I'm about to upset people, and I shouldn't say it, but I'm tired. And so I don't have a filter right now.
Oh no.
I think, and by the way, like, dude, I'm a nerdy dude through and through, bro. I am not as nerdy as it gets, but you and I, you know, we fit that category for sure. But I do think though, there's a highly attractional piece to WoW for people who maybe aren't as socially engaged, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe social settings, social situations aren't always their strong suit. And sometimes sometimes that's just because like they struggle to make friends because they get maybe nervous. Maybe they struggle to make friends because they're struggling with like maybe something like autism. And so they maybe just have trouble reading social cues, right? And so they have some difficulty. Yeah. But then I also think there's a very specific group of, especially gamers, but just in nerd culture in general, a very specific group of people who are like not socially involved a lot in many cases because they literally are just mean. They're just mean and they don't know it. They literally just don't know it. And like the things that will come out of their mouth, I'm just like, whoa, this is why people don't hang out with you, dude. This is why you don't have friends, man. Like what? Like I hear it and I'm like, I wish I could sit you down and talk. And just be like, hey, bro, you want friends? I'll teach you how to make them. I'll teach you how to be nice to people. I'll teach you like how to say sweet things that encourage people and build them up. And like you want more tanks to play the game? Guess what you don't do? You don't call them stupid.
Yeah, right.
You encourage them.
Goodness.
And you go, hey man, have you tanked this before? No? Awesome. Let me ping the packs for the pool. Let me explain these mechanics. Dude, if your key's bricked, it's already bricked. Help the dude out. Teach him.
Yeah.
Use it as a moment. You want more tanks in the game? Help him, dude. If you want to get into dungeons faster, take the time to make sure people have a good experience. That's my thought on that. That's my thought. My thought is that for as much as I love WoW, and by the way, one of the things I love about WoW is the social environment of WoW. I think WoW has an amazing social environment. Yeah, sure, there's a lot of toxicity, but that's going to be the nature. Anytime something is highly attractional for people to be a part of, you're getting the whole gambit. You're getting the whole gamut. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you, man, our guild, the people we hang out with, our friends, I freaking love them. I love them, man. Like, they're the best. They are stinking the best people on the planet. And so in WoW, man, I get some of the greatest social experiences that I have. But then at the same time, man, you encounter those dudes who you're just like, why? Like, what inspires you to talk this way to people? Like, what thought went through your head that you're like, yeah, this is a good idea for me to say this? I think I really like to observe people. I love observing people and trying to fathom how they think. Right? And maybe I don't make enough excuses for them. Maybe I need to make up more excuses and like be like, oh, well, it's because of this. But I try so hard to just think like, how do you have the thought process to go, man, this is why we don't have any tanks in the game. And it's like, why don't we have tanks in the game? Because they're all stupid. Like, what? Like, what? Like, dude, like, what are you doing, bro? Like, I don't know, man. Like, I'm just trying to picture what inspires somebody to say that, right?
Rough.
I don't know, man. I guess maybe I'm just too like logical in the way that I try to think about it. Maybe it's something that, but to me, I hear like, if I'm like, hey man, tanks don't know what they're doing, then okay. The issue isn't the tanks. The issue is, hey, Blizzard hasn't developed a system in the game that this role is getting adequately trained the same way that a healer or a DPS would be. What can they do to fix it, right? Mm-hmm. If you're seeing a whole role in the game struggling, then maybe that's on Blizzard and not the individual player, right?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, granted, don't get me wrong. I play a tank because I'm not smart enough to play a DPS. I get that. To some degree, he's not wrong. To some degree, it is an accurate observation. I don't tank because I'm a smarty pants. I tank because I don't know how to do a rotation. All right? Let's be honest here. But I still know how to like pull things. I still know how to do mechanics. Okay, I'm not that bad. But to say that, I just don't understand it. I don't understand it, right? Like, dude, I don't know, man. I get memeing sometimes. Like I get memeing, and just being like, dude, just get good, right? Like I get that sometimes. And somebody's like, oh man, I struggle with this, and you're like, oh, just get good, right? I get the meme, but at the same time, there are just moments where people say things, and it's just so rude, and it is this like, and the observation I have to it is this like cultural like social awkwardness that exists really in like nerdy gaming culture a lot of times that I see, where it's like a social awkwardness and it comes across very mean. I don't even want to say rude. There's a difference. There's a difference between like, hey, I miss social cues and sometimes I say something that like is kind of a little too straightforward or a little too rude. But that's not going, yeah, all the tanks are stupid. Right? Mm-hmm. Like that's just a mean statement.
Yeah,
that's
right.
That's not like that's just like I don't realize that me being a jerk isn't funny to people. That's usually the way it comes across is like, I bet you that guy thought what he was saying was the funniest thing. Like he was so ready for everybody to start chuckling with him and be like, yeah, man, dude, tanks are so dumb. Like I hate it. Right? Like, and instead people are just like, what? Can we kick this guy? Do we have to run with him? Like, do we have to do a key? Like, does this guy have to be here? Is this his king? Right? Like, if we kick him, can we still run this? Right? Like,
my goodness. Yeah, it was rough.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's my comment there on that. I don't even know if I took it the direction you thought I was gonna take it, but I do find that there's
that's about where I
awkwardness
thought
there.
you'd take it.
Yeah. Sorry.
Anyways, yeah. You want to talk about the questions real quick?
Yeah, dude. We got some. We got some fun ones. I think they're a little bit longer, so bear with us as we read them. I want to make sure I if I have to paraphrase it a little bit, I will. All right, so Ragsarek has a question for the pod. He says, have you guys ever participated in the Break the Meta event? What are your thoughts on it? And then he goes on to express an idea he had behind that question, which is basically he got the new Dungeoneer achievement, and he was wondering if it would be cool for Blizzard to add more achievements into the game for like N+ dungeons. And so like the idea would be like if you ran dungeons with one of every type of tank and every type of DPS, every type of healer, you could get a Break the Meta type of like achievement for that, right? And I think it was like if you time a 10 with a Holy Paladin, Holy Priest, Monk, Mistweaver Monk, right? Like all of them. And it doesn't, it's not necessarily that you're playing that one, but that somebody in your group is playing that you can then get the achievement over time, which is a cool thing. So to kind of answer that question, kind of a twofold question. I guess it's a question and a response to your idea. Yeah, I think Chicken and I think I do. I know at least I do. I participate in Break the Meta every season, but I don't know if you're aware, Break the Meta is not a Blizzard sanctioned event. I mean, it is kind of a Blizzard sanctioned event, but it's hosted by Raider.io, and then Blizzard just kind of like lets them give out banners. I think that's like the partnership. Blizzard's I
think so.
Yeah, Blizzard's like, here, you can have a banner. I think Break the Meta is fun. I didn't like it this last time around because I believe the last time around they lowered the key expectation pretty strongly. So the idea behind it was that MDI, Mythic Dungeon International, MDI was a much lower key level that season. And so they wanted, or I'm assuming Blizzard wanted, the banners to be obtainable at a similar level to what MDI was doing, because you could get the banners from competing in MDI. And so that I think was the reasoning they had. So I'm hoping the next time we see Break the Meta show up this season, that they maybe raise the difficulty. It just felt too easy. It felt too easy. My thing with Break the Meta, though, is I don't compete and Break the Meta on like a highly competitive scale. Like, so I'm not like going like, oh, I want to see if I can actually like make it in the top lists for Break the Meta.
Yeah.
But I do the like, hey, if you time 2 plus 5s, you get, right, or 6s or whatever it is, you can get the banner. I'll do that. The one thing I do, though, and I don't know if you're the same as me, Chicken, if Blood Decay is on the list, I'll play a different class.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I think one time I did my Blood Decay because I just didn't have the time to do it, and I was helping some guildies out. They wanted it, and so I was like, let's just I'll take my DK. It counts towards it, whatever. But usually I like the challenge of, and like to me it's a fun reason to change it up, right? And especially if like your whole group is playing things they're not familiar with, that can be fun. And you know, it kind of makes the dungeon a little more challenging, adds some like uniqueness to it. So I always enjoy it because like I'll hop on like Brewmaster or maybe Bear or something maybe I'm not quite as familiar with, and try and push. That's actually how I got more into Brewmaster, was I was using it for Break the Meta. And so yeah, that can be really fun. As far as your question goes, yeah, I mean they'd be cool. I'm not a big achievement pusher, if I'm honest. I think Break the Meta is fun for me because it's an event that goes on and it's a limited time event. And so the fun of Break the Meta for me is like going to our guildies. At that point in the season, we're kind of burned out on doing keys anyways. And so going to our guildies and be like, yo, you guys want like one last tiny little fun keys moment? And we'll just put like an event on the calendar with the guild. Be like, anybody who wants to Break the Meta, here, show up at this time and we'll organize groups together. Here's the specs you can play. And it just gives us something to do. To me, Break the Meta isn't very serious. It's not something I put a lot of thought into. It's just kind of like, oh, here's a fun reason to log in and do some keys.
Yeah.
I hope that makes sense.
No, it does, and I kind of agree with you too. I'm not too much of a achievement pusher in that sense. And to be honest, I'm the way I kind of got this was it's similar to what you said. Like, hey, like you kind of have to do a dungeon with all these kind of things. I'm not too much of a like swap between. I know you're big in like, oh, you just like tanking role, and you kind of play characters based on that. I'm more like, oh, I just want to try this character and maybe just try the most meta thing with that character. Obviously, with different things, it's different things. But like my monk, like I never have tanked on my monk outside of like a LFR, maybe just to get like a rune or something like an augmented rune. I pretty much only heal on my monk, so that is one of those ones where it's like, it'd be a little more difficult, but yeah, I don't think it's a terrible idea.
Yeah. I think they did clarify, by the way, in the question that I think they later in a different post clarified, just saying, hey, you don't have to play every role or every spec.
Gotcha.
You just have to have been grouped with them.
Gotcha.
Right. Which again, though, it kind of just. I think it would become something totally different. It just seems like an achievement. I'm not a big achievement hunter, but to me, there's never a reason not to add achievements into the game.
Yeah, no, right? I think it's kind of neat.
Yeah,
I think it's a neat little thing that you could do. Yeah. No, I like achievements. They're cool.
Okay, so another question. This one's gonna be a little interesting. I got thoughts. I'd love to hear your thoughts too. We might not think the same. We might think the same. I don't know. So, question coming from Coda. Coda, I think this is your first question, by the way. So, welcome in. Hey, Swag, do you think keys should work like delves? People would be able to go to the dungeon, and when you have the key, you should be able to pick what level you want up to the level you cleared for that dungeon. Say I failed 10 Theater of Pain, and I get a 9 Rookery, and I've cleared a Rookery. I should be able to select a 10 instead of repeating it, or get rid of the keys and go to the dungeon and select what level I want to run like delves are. So basically saying ultimately I think they want a system where they can just go to the dungeon they want to do, no keys involved, kind of similar to delves. If you've unlocked a 10, then you can do any dungeon at a 10 level, or maybe in this case you have to do it individually per dungeon and push them up. I started on the last question. Chicken, I want to hear your thoughts first.
Sorry, you caught me like in the dead middle of a yawn, and I was like, perfect. There's no way I can talk around this. Sorry, I'm starting to hit my my peak in tiredness. Okay, so I'm gonna give a bold and honest answer. I don't think this would make keys enjoyable. I think this would kind of kill the excitement out of keys if they did it like that. And the reason I think that is because I think there is I think that would incline people to only run very specific dungeons. I think of like, last season, right? Dude, you queue up for a dungeon and there'd be like 50 Arakaras because everyone's trying to farm for the sack, right? And you would have literally no other variety except people queuing up for Arakara, right? And insert dungeon here, whatever dungeon you want to put. And then on top of that, it's also just like a ton of 10s because people want it or like 8s, I think, is when Hero Track started last season or whatever. Yeah. Because people don't want it in a champion track, they want it in heroic track, so they're only going to run that high level. I think the key has to be there for variety. Like I just don't think if the key didn't exist, there would be like no variety whatsoever, and I think that would ultimately end up being the demise of Mythic Plus.
Yeah, no, I agree. I also, I think it goes a little bit further than just that too, right? Because ultimately, the key variety I think helps, and honestly, key variety is it's a tough thing because even though you only have one key in your bag, you still have access to an in-game tool to go search for whatever key you want to do, right? So I think at time you can search for whatever key you want to do. You might not get invited to it, but whatevs, right? However, I would say, you run the risk of like, and granted, it can happen anyways. I think it's better in the system we have, but it could happen under any system. You run the risk of people just being like, no, I'm just gonna run Arakar on repeat because I want this item, or I'm just gonna run this one dungeon on repeat because I want to fill up my vault, and this one's the easiest one for me to run to fill up my vault.
Yes, that too. Yeah,
right. And that's just, I don't think that's the gameplay experience that Blizzard wants us to have when it comes to keys.
No.
And I think we have to have that conversation in comparison to delves. Delves are single player content. Dude, I get up in the middle of a delve and go make myself lunch, sit down, watch a TV show, come back and finish it. I've done that multiple times. Dude. You remember as a kid when your parents would be like, can you pause the game and come help me out? That's delves. That's delves right there, right? That's delves. It's a totally different experience. And by the way, though, those factors that I'm making fun of right now, that's why people like them. That's why when I do a delve, it's because I'm like, I want to just do something other than drive in circles and undermine. Let me go hop in the delve on like an alt and try to work towards some gear, but I know I'll probably be getting up 3 or 4 times while doing this and taking care of something, right? And then sitting back down. I think sometimes I'll like cook food and I'll sit down and do a little bit of a delve, wait till the timer goes off and then get back up. And and it's nice. It's nice to be able to do that. I actually like really appreciate that exists in the game. But it is a totally different thing. I also think the key level, more than the assortment of key like dungeons themselves, the key level I think is the core piece. In a delve, dude, if I want to slam my head against 11s all day because I want to, sure, why not?
Yeah.
Why not, right? Like, who do I hurt? Who gets hurt in that situation? Nobody. Nobody gets hurt, right? But what happens when, like, Timmy gets carried through a +10? And then all of a sudden, all he's ever doing is trying to form groups to go run 10s because he got carried through one time, and now he has unlocked that 10 level. And so he keeps trying to form groups, not get invited to groups, right? Because maybe his rating wouldn't get him invited. But posting his group, right? Posting his group and like constantly filling up groups, going in, and then the group just falls apart time after time after time after time because Timmy there is far from capable or ready to be going into +10s. But you know what? He unlocked it. He unlocked a +10 Mechagon for whatever reason. And gosh darn it, he's not going to do anything lower than that because he earned this, right?
Yeah, right.
I think keys are very self selecting in a way. They kind of
Yes. Yeah, I agree with that.
Right. It reminds me of like ranked gameplay and like maybe PvP type of games. Right. Skill-based matchmaking almost in kind of like a funny way where it's like, if your key goes down, it's like, okay, your key went down. Probably because you need it to, right? Blizzard wants to make sure that you're feeling like you're succeeding at things in the game. And so if all you're running are dungeons that you're not capable of actually succeeding at, that's going to be a problem. With that said, though, I think once you start running anything at a 12 level or higher, once you complete all the keys at that level, I do believe it prevents you from being lowered below that level.
Yes.
So it does affect people. Does it affect you? Maybe not. And I do know, by the way, Coda, you have a follow-up question. And by the way, I'm being a little tough on the question. Obviously, I'm being a little tough on the question because I think it's interesting. And I think I hear it a lot. I think I hear this one come up a lot. And I'm a pretty big fan of how keys work at the moment, even if it's frustrating to me sometimes. But your follow-up comment, I think, brings some good insight too, right? And you said some of this stems from if I don't get a key I don't want to run, I just run someone else's key and change it from the lady at the end of the dungeon. If I don't like that key, then repeat the process. Getting random keys just seem redundant to me. I think the bigger issue is if you're going to be avoidant of dungeons, I don't think you're going to enjoy the gameplay as much. And I think that's the bigger issue, right?
Yeah.
Right. If you're saying, hey, I have dungeons I just won't do. Right. I think that's the problem. And that tells me a couple things. One, well, and I don't know which one's true. The first thing it could be saying, and I don't think this is it, is that you're only running dungeons that offer you specifically loot that you want. And if that's the case, that's the case, you know, like whatevs. But just recognize that, like, you're trying to game the system to just get the one specific thing you want and not necessarily actually just running the content for being content, right?
Yeah.
That's important to keep in mind, right? That Arakar thing, right? Like, oh, I just want to slam Arakar all day until I get a sack brood. Okay, cool. But that's on you, right? Like, that's on you. On the second thing, and I think this is possibly more likely, is that there might be dungeons that you really don't feel confident in, or you feel like you fail at them a lot. And my advice in that situation would be to actually I would really encourage you, like, instead of avoiding those dungeons, I would actually start doing them a lot. I would actually focus on those dungeons. Yeah. What I have found, and Chicken, I think you're already the same way, the dungeons that I initially hate at the start of a season often become some of my favorites because I work so hard to learn that dungeon and master it that then that dungeon kind of, it earns a spot in my heart where I'm like, yeah, I like this one. I remember last season there, I don't remember which dungeon it was, but I was like hyped about it. My brain's fried today, but I was like hyped about it. People were like, why do you like that dungeon? I'm like, I don't know, dude. I learned it, and it's been fun for me ever since. And so it's just it's a nice dungeon. I like it. And so I would encourage you, if that's you, if you're like, oh, I just don't feel like I can succeed in these dungeons, I just want to do the ones I can do. No, I would encourage you, like, no, go in those dungeons, do them. The goal isn't to master 1 or 2 dungeons and then fill out your vault. The goal is to grow evenly across the spectrum. Blizzard's very intentional that they don't make all the dungeons the same. They've talked about, like, right, like there's a wide variety of different mechanics across the board in these dungeons, especially this season. And it keeps variety. It keeps the game, I think, long term more fun, especially if you're not being avoidant of that variety. Even though I've done like basically no floodgates, so.
Floodgate's pretty good.
Dude, no, you know what I found out? This is gonna sound so dumb, but again, I've been so crazy busy that I haven't had like a ton of time to just jump in and play extensively. I feel kind of behind right now, which I don't like, but these next few weeks are gonna be pretty good for me, so I think I'm gonna be able to catch up, which will be awesome.
That's good.
And maybe people listening to this have this problem too. I had a few people in the guild apparently had it as well. So I was trying to get into a floodgate because I didn't have any, dude, I have like a bunch of like 7s and 8s timed and not a single floodgate even done. And so I'm like, okay, I gotta go learn this dungeon. Let me go learn this dungeon. Because I got like a +8 floodgate key in my bag or something. I'm like, let me go learn this dungeon. I should go, let me do it 2 so I can learn the route and then I'll run this on the 8. I can't find one. I'm like searching. I'm like, how are there no flood? And so I was like, whatever, that's just weird. I'll run one later. Log in the next day. No floodgates. None queued. I do it again a couple hours later. Still none. And I'm like, what the heck? Does no one want to run this key? Does everybody hate this?
It's crazy.
And I ask in the guild, I'm like, yo, anybody like, there's no floodgates. What's going on? And somebody's like, oh, dude, I'm having that problem, but it's no motherload dungeons. I'm like, what? So I searched motherload. Nothing. No motherload dungeons showing up.
I'm like, what?
And I'm like, yeah, what the heck? And someone else goes, hey, dude, for some reason, I can only see, like, Priory, Rookery, Cinder Brew, and, what's the fourth, time?
Clef.
Right? And, like, I can only see those 4. And then another guy just goes, wait, I checked the filtered list, and it filtered out for only the launch dungeons for the War Within.
Yep.
And I guess this is like I guess this was a bug a lot of people were having where the game's like auto. Yeah, dude, I didn't know about it. And here I am here I am like having like a list of dungeons I just literally haven't done because when I look at the dungeon pool, they're just not showing up. Yeah. So I'm just not queuing for them. I'm not avoiding them. They just haven't shown up. So I'm like, okay, well, whatever.
That definitely happened to me too. And I was like, what is going on? And I ended up figuring it out. It did take me like at least 30 minutes. I was like, what is going on?
Yeah.
It took me listing my Theater of Pain to be like, why can't I find a 2 Theater of Pain just to run?
Absolutely. And by the way, Coda, dude, as we're wrapping up the podcast here, Coda, thank you so much for sending your question in. I know I didn't agree with it. But here's the thing, like, I love the questions. If anybody wants to ever send a question in, like, just because I don't agree with it or just because Chicken doesn't agree with it, doesn't mean we don't like the question. We love these conversations. This gives us stuff to talk about, things to dialogue on. And so feel free to join the Discord. There's a link down below. And drop your questions in the Pod Questions channel. Or if you want to disagree with something we said, let us know. Right? Like,
always disagree with us.
I mean, I'll never be offended. Like, unless you're like, no swag, you're wrong. Tanks are just stupid. Then okay, maybe.
And then I'll be like, okay, come on, dude, give us some credit, please.
Come on. But you know what? But for the most part, dude, like, I love the questions that come in. So even when we disagree with them, I love the questions because it makes us think. It makes us process things. It makes me go, why do I like or dislike this thing? Why is this good? Is the questions I love the most too are the ones where I like the idea they send me, but I know why Blizzard does the thing they do, and I know that even though it doesn't sound as fun, it's for the better, right? Like, those are my favorites because those really make me think, because I'm like, but I really want that thing. But I also know once I have it, I'll be upset, right? So it's
you will, yes.
It's funny. It's funny how that works. But anyways, everybody, thank you so much for hanging out on the podcast. Next week is episode 30 for us, which means it's our it's a 5th episode, so we'll have a special guest on the podcast next week. It's going to be a wonderful time. And Chicken, you want to say goodbye to everybody?
Goodbye.